How will AI shape advertising? That's one of the things that we're going to talk about today in our show. Welcome to Everyday AI. My name is Jordan Wilson, the host of this daily live stream podcast and newsletter. And I have a special guest with me today, Rasha Shaker. Rasha, say what's up. How you doing?
What's up? How you doing? It's so
I
nice
gave I
to.
gave you the line there. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's all right. I'm a, but thank you so much for having me on the show, Jordan. It's a pleasure being here.
Awesome. Great. Well, hey, before we jump into Rasha's background, we're going to run down some of the most important things in artificial intelligence news right now. So, one thing, just as a reminder to everyone, whether you're tuning in on the live stream or listening on the podcast, every single day we try to update you with what is important and going on in AI news, not just for people in marketing and advertising like myself and Rasha, but everyday people and how you can use AI to help make your job, career, and everything better. So let's quickly take a look at what's going on. So, one thing, RNC using deep fakes. So, the RNC, the Republican National Committee, just released an ad showing, imagining what Joe Biden's second term would look like. Normal stuff, except they use all AI generated images first. That's a first for any national campaign. So we'll see what happens there. There's still no real movement in terms of legislation in Congress, but I think the more commercials that you see like that, the more it's actually going to push Congress to do something about AI legislation. Uh, our second piece, China lacking behind the US in chat. As we've talked about on the show before, it's really US and China really pushing the rest of the world on AI development, all the different tools. So China has two different major versions of chat, similarly how the US has Chat GPT, which we talk about every day on the show. So China's two different versions from Baidu and Alibaba. They've really been lacking behind. They have long wait lists, limited access, and restricted trials to business partners. So, although Beijing is ahead in regulation, they are a little bit behind right now in terms of actual users getting access to this technology. It's something maybe in the US, at least, we don't really realize or take advantage of, that so much of the world doesn't have the level of access that we do with some of our tools and technology because of regulation. A lot of countries have banned it or cut back usage. Our third story for today, and there will be more in the daily newsletter, so make sure you go to youreverydayai.com and subscribe. But our third topic to discuss is the Forbes study. A new Forbes study is talking about how AI will add to the economy. So they're looking at just a growing demand for AI professionals, which we've talked about multiple times, but they specifically looked at India's economy and how AI is going to add to the GDP, not replace. At least this study says in the next 10 years, AI is going to add an additional 500 billion, that is half a trillion, to India's GDP. So would love to hear what you guys think, whether you're listening, watching now live. Drop us a comment for myself and Rasha as we transition from the news to an interview. So Rasha, thanks for your patience. So I'd love to now give you the opportunity to say a little bit about yourself. Tell us where you work, what you do. Give us the 60-second shot.
Yeah, so I was born and raised just 20, 30 minutes outside of Scranton, Pennsylvania, which a lot of people know is like where The Office takes place. And I tell people all the time that that show's not a sitcom, that's a documentary, because the people are really like that up there.
Love it. Love
But
it.
I moved down to Nashville, Tennessee in 2015 after I graduated from Wilkes University, and that's really where I got my foundation in my career in marketing. So I graduated with like a comp studies degree in broadcast and publicity, and throughout the span of my career, I've done a lot of media buying. That's really where my expertise is in advertising, and then some social media campaigns. And uh, a lot of my foundation in my career was actually built in like the music and entertainment industries. So, there's a lot that I've learned from that. And then after the pandemic, I was furloughed. And so then it was time to pivot a little bit. So then I eventually found myself here at Bohan, which I've been here for almost a year. And we're like one of the most, if not the most creative agencies here in the Southeast. We do great work. And I know that we've been chatting a lot internally about AI and what that looks like in the future of our agency and really as the industry as a whole.
Yeah, love it. Well, thank you for that breakdown. So even before we jump into the AI space a little bit, for I think people like you and myself, Rasha, we understand the marketing,
Mm-hmm.
advertising, agency space really well. But for everyone else, just kind of explain, what's the day to day look like for a senior digital media specialist at Bohan. What are you doing on a day to day basis?
Yeah, so really my bread and butter is media buying and putting together marketing campaigns for our clients. So my day to day is usually checking in on my campaigns, seeing how they're going, making recommendations to the client as far as where they should be investing their budgets in, as far as different channels, and then a lot of it is doing research. So taking my position as the digital media specialist at Bohan quite seriously, as far as doing my due diligence of staying ahead of, trends that are coming up, and bringing those ideas to my team and to the clients. And so far, so good. Seen a lot of good results with it. So I must be doing something right.
I love it. Speaking of trends, let's talk about that a little bit. And if we can, for a second, let's hold off on talking about the trend of AI because that's more of a, I'd say more of a
Mm-hmm.
tsunami. But just maybe talk about in your industry, what normal, not trend spotting, but how fast would you say things normally pre artificial intelligence? How fast did you say things moved in the marketing and advertising space?
I'd say pretty quickly, like one of the biggest questions that come up all the time that I hear from folks in the industry is like, am I going to lose my job? Because just how fast the machine learning is catching up and how close it can get to, like, for example, writing copy or post for a blog, how close it can get to like a brand's voice. Of course, sometimes it hits the mark, but we've, at Bohan, we've asked that question to ourselves, like where do we fit in this evolving world of AI? And something that we've concluded was that, even though we have this technology and it's rapidly evolving, like in a blink of an eye, there still needs to be human input for it to work. So as long as we are putting in the input, and it really comes down to training ourselves, and it's just like any other innovation that came across in the advertising industry, like even when uh the dawn of the internet, when people were still questioning whether or not to buy banner ads. And I remember as a kid, a 90s kid, a lot of times those banner ads early on in the internet were a little sketchy.
Mhm.
And so we've evolved into digital marketing being a strong arm in our tactics for campaigns that we present to clients. And so I think we're beginning to get to that next strong arm of this technology coming in. And you're obviously going to have that level of skepticism. But at the end of the day, it is our jobs as professionals to educate and train ourselves on these tools, not so that we have to worry about losing our jobs, but that we're more so, uh, I think it reinforces our place in our professions, in our jobs,
Mm.
because it's going to be a time saver. Because I know, sitting here, it takes a great deal of time to just come up, like, to launch a campaign from beginning to launch. Like, it's a months long process and it requires a lot of planning. And so I think, um, as a tool, it's going to help save a lot more time so that you can focus on, the more grander scheme of things when it comes to running your business or working relations with your clients.
Yeah, yeah. I think you bring up great points there, Rasha. I think one thing, people in our industry sometimes are exposed to these tools and technologies before others. I remember people reaching out to me when Chat GPT was released. I don't know what it's been like 5 months ago, and they're like, "Can you believe this?" And I'm like, "Well, we've been using this technology for 2 years, so yes, I can believe it." But I mean, what kind of conversations, whether it's you or Bohan interfacing with clients, or even you personally, have you seen a lot of people maybe turn to you to be like, "Hey, you're in this space, help me figure it out," or what have you been telling, whether it's people, friends, family, clients, just about this tsunami of technology in general?
I've been getting it a lot, and in fact, when I met with a friend for lunch yesterday, uh, that same question came up. It's like, well, you're the expert here. Tell me where you see AI kind of fitting into your day to day work or day to day life, whatever. And so I feel like it's just, I think it's that question's going to come up a lot more. Um, and as far as how I'm answering it, you know, constantly being educated on it. But then there's also still, I think, that level of uncertainty because we're starting to get into like some deeper waters of technology and like you know internet space as we begin to evolve to Web3. So I have that conversation, and like when we hit those really deep hitting questions about you know where I foresee AI going or where I see myself in the equation as far as my career when it comes to I openly and honestly say I'm not quite sure. And that's something that is totally valid. And I think we need to, as professionals, as people, acknowledge that, sometimes we just don't know. You just have to kind of go out there and just ride the wave and see what happens. Because a lot of times we allow the fear and the paranoia to kind of lead us. I think that's what's going on right now in my industry is like the fear and the paranoia. And I think it's mainly from people who are maybe a little more old school or maybe on the verge of retirement, or they just don't quite grasp
Mhm.
the evolving world of digital. And that's where people like us that are open and cool with being like, yeah, I don't know, being the ones to go in and be like, all right, I don't know, but let's figure it out. And then going in, and then we teach those people who are scared or unsure of what AI is going to do for them and show them that these are the great things that we could do with it. So that's how I see it.
Yeah, I love it. And real quick here, Rasha, because apparently we're like I'm super long-winded. I keep going on here, but just with a couple minutes left in the show here, could you tell maybe through your personal experience, professional and personal, both how you're using AI, but also recommending how the everyday person might use this technology as well.
Yeah, so professionally, as a media buyer, I've been trying to do some digging as far as like what it could do for me. It doesn't appear that there's any technologies or any tools specifically for media buying that I would find advantageous, but I do see it at my agency with, Chat GPT or even for my friends who freelance or, work in music and entertainment. They use it for creating like album covers or coming up with like content for social. And then personally, I've been experimenting with Google Bard because I was able to get on like the waiting list, and I've used it to come up with like for example meal plan ideas. So I'm really into eating better, and I've been doing the keto thing, and I'll ask it, give me 2 weeks worth of
Mhm.
meal ideas on a keto diet, this many macronutrients, go, and then it'll give me a good breakdown, and it really helps because then, I think for everyday people, like let's say you need to go grocery shopping and you're like, man, I'm tired of the same thing. I'm getting like cheeseburgers and tacos at the grocery store. Give me some ideas about what I could do to eat healthier, or, like, give me ideas for like a vegan diet. And then I started using the Snapchat AI thing. And maybe it's because I'm a younger millennial, but my first instinct was to try and troll it.
I think you're right along with everyone there.
Yeah, so I tried asking it, "Oh, what's your favorite South Park episode?" Because everything I kept asking it was like, "Oh, I'm not comfortable answering that question." And it was like, "Well, I'm just a robot. I don't have a favorite episode." It's like, I don't know, man. I don't think we can move forward if I can't talk to you about South Park. I mean, what's the point of you being here if I can't socialize with you? You're just asking me questions like you don't know how to answer mine. So we'll see as the
Yeah.
technology evolves.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you, Rasha, for joining us. And I think you bring up great points, right? There is still, I think, improvements to be made. There's still advancements happening on a daily basis. It's crazy to watch. Thank you again for joining us. You did mention ChatGPT. Just as a reminder, if you're listening out there, fantastic tool. Get the premium version. Get it through us. We're actually giving away 2 premium year-long memberships. There's obviously a free version of ChatGPT and a much more powerful and faster premium version that you pay for monthly. Sign up to our newsletter at youreverydayai.com, and we'll give you the details on how you can enter for that. Rasha, thank you again for joining us, and please continue to tune in every day to Everyday AI. Thank you so much.